3 weeks into the comedy festival, end of the 3rd week. It felt great actually. Really had some great responses from the crowds. I wondered how they'd understand the story. The story is a very North Coast story about running for an election, but I think people are really enjoying the story of what it feels like to come close to winning and getting some of those background stories, which are funny and insightful and true. So yeah, I felt like it went really well. We've had quite a few sellout shows. We're at Town Hall. It's in one of the smaller rooms of about 68 people. I've had a great response. I've had Adam Babb turned up one night.
I was going to ask you, were you making that up or did you really have him?
Adam came on like the 2nd or 3rd night. I've had a lot of support from people in the Greens. So Adam loved it. The great thing, the Greens are so open to, I don't know if there's many parties that would be cool about one of their candidates being as off the book as I am, but they love it. I think every night I've had at least 1 or 2 people that have run in a federal election or a state election or the council who've lost, and some people who've won that have come along. So that's been great too. I think it's been kind of, a lot of people said it was really good for them because they actually got to have their experience reflected back, and it often feels at the end of the campaign pushing, and then it just goes away. And they talk about that sense of despair when you go, it's all over. Apparently we cared about this on Tuesday, but now we don't care about this anymore. I think this is for me, it's the most important comedy show I've done because it brings together, very importantly, the story of who I am and the story of what I do and why I do it. And for me, as a 55-year-old woman that wants to be part of creating real systemic change and sees humour and politics as something that's really intertwined, this is it. This is how we do it. So yeah, I've kind of put myself out there a bit in doing this.
You touch on the issue of people saying, look, you're a comedian and you're up on stage blabbing about this and blabbing about that and making comments and how things should be, that running for a seat actually is like a logical extension of comedy. Is that how you see it? That you're kind of making good on that claim?
Absolutely, because I've been very engaged as a writer and as an opinion writer and as an activist in, really as someone who's on the outside, kind of, heckling or critiquing what happens. So the idea of stepping onto the inside, politics is about getting in on the inside and see if you can affect change from there. And it does feel like the natural thing to do, but for me it wasn't, because I feel like, it's really hard to get your own sense of legitimacy when you're a comedian. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an accountant, I'm not an ex-cop. I tell jokes for a living, and, sometimes lewd jokes, sometimes confrontational jokes, and sometimes just really stupid jokes. But what I do is I guess connect with community and get really engaged in that way. So I think politics is a natural next step. I actually think we've got to the point where I think people have lost trust a lot in their politicians, and weirdly they trust comedians.
Does it help you put on the show?
Oh, absolutely. It helps you because you get a mentor, you get money toward, they help you with your room, to pay for the room that you're in. They give you money towards accommodation. And for someone, I'm not 20. I have real life costs that are quite exorbitant. So for me to give up much of my life and come and relocate and live in a city, 2,000 kilometres away from home with my family elsewhere, that's kind of hard to do. So something like the Moosehead actually supports me to create new work and actually have the time to actually present it here. And I've loved doing that. I have 5 kids, so...
Make a living. Do you make a living?
Yeah, I do.
From your comedy?
Yeah, from my comedy.
And you're a mother of 5 children.
Yeah, and look, 2 of them live in Melbourne, and, one's still at home at school. I tour at the various touring shows. I work a lot into regional areas. I do a lot of corporate work. I do a lot of writing. I'm an opinion writer for various publications as well. So it's an interesting profession, but it's one of the, I think my mum's still shocked that she goes, really is a job. So yeah, I do that. But in order to take time out to do a festival is very different because you're very focused. You know, a lot of the work I would be doing I can't do. So that grant or that award that I got for the museum really helped me come here and do this. As an older comic, that's great. I don't even know what way of feminist I am. I think I'm a pretty I don't even define myself in any sort of way feminist. I think I'm really, committed to inclusion, to strong kind of female voices, to seeing real systemic change. And a humanitarian at heart. So that, for me, there's big changes that need to happen. And yeah, I've been a feminist since I was 17.
Are you the kind of feminist who pushes for quotas or who would prefer merit?
I know, I'm quite a feminist.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I really do. I think Robin Bishop's someone that went for merit, and I'm more of the quota woman.
Okay.
And I think what happens is you can actually talk about merit when you've got enough. Once you do quotas and you get women in those situations or more representations and inclusion, then people get a chance to actually experience merit. But when it actually, you can't even get to the line to actually be there. Merit is entitlement and privilege. Not everybody gets to show.
You say at the beginning of your show that we're over men. What do you say exactly?
That's my joke about me. It's the end of men.
Yeah. When you say that, do you actually mean, Mandy Nolan, the end of male politicians?
Sort of.
Okay.
I think what I mean is it's the end of the way we're doing things, and the end of I think people see the two-party system, which is pretty well celebrated the entitlement of a particular type of man, and I think we've reached. I mean, if you look at 6,000 years of patriarchy, and we look at the system now, where big business and corporation are pushing us over the edge, and we need change quickly.
You're obviously a feminist who believes in a patriarchy, that we are living in a patriarchy, because you know that there is a lot of pushback to that notion. That, if it's a patriarchy, why have men worked so hard for women and for women's rights? And
you know why? Because patriarchy hurts good men as well. It's one of those things where, when you talk, it's a system that, the patriarchal system that we live in and that we operate in, without change, it doesn't support men either. Like, there's a lot of men that are incredibly disadvantaged. So when you talk about a change of the system, you're looking at something that's fairer, that's more humanitarian, that isn't just about, upholding the privilege and entitlement of the 6% or the small amount of super wealthy that tend to have their interests prosecuted, at every level. So it is about, a more egalitarian system, and I'm all for men that fight. Men can be allies and are allies very often, and that's part of where change happens.
One of the really enjoyable things about your show is that sometimes it's like a spoken word performance, peppered with jokes. And one of the segments that you talk about are the floods that you were right in the middle of. Now, Mandy Nolan, you highlight in your show the complete lack of government help during a disaster. We saw the same thing with the fires, where what appeared to come out of all that is that the government is not worthy of the community that they are meant to be representing and helping. Why would you want to be part of a political establishment that is so wretched and horrible and contemptible and they're just awful people? Why do you want to be part of that?
I think you've got to get better people into politics, and I think the more of us that I think the more good people and the more people that are there to work hard and that are about getting real grassroots community engagement in their representation. I think that's where you make real change. So if we stay out of it, then nothing will change. So we need to have strong voices for those amazing, powerful communities, and that's what I want to be. They're terrible. They're awful. You know, and that's what I was doing. I mean, people want to see the two-party system smashed to smithereens, and it's time, you know. And I think communities have seen they're powerful and they're capable, and they're not going to just sit down and take it anymore. And that's kind of part of that feeling of, you know what I'd like to see happen. I mean, well, you never know. Like, you don't know until you give it a go, basically.
Yeah. Can you just clear up for us? What was the Hitler thing? You said because you didn't actually clarify what actually happened, only that you got away with it.
That was a video that I did in a blog from about 2011, which was a video blog about sociopathy, and I was talking in the blog about how I was talking about kids and teenagers and how my kids at the time were obsessed with having fun. It was like, but I want to have fun. And I was talking about how the idea of only ever doing what you want to do is innately sociopathic. So I say in that, oh, well, Hitler had fun, and it was a stupid thing to say. But he was a sociopath, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it didn't matter. It was just that bit. Like, obviously I wasn't celebrating Hitler, I wasn't anything like that. I just said the word. I said Hitler had fun. As a kind of thing, as I was imagining, as I was saying it to my kids. But then they just took that out.
Yeah.
Where they went, beauty.
That's what happens now. You just strip it of context, and you can be made to look like the worst person in the world.
I know, and I went, and I was, and I was fortunate that it didn't have any. There was no substance to it. So it was never. It was only just being used as in an election as something to kind of back me with.
Right.
But it didn't even get any.
So when are you running next?
Well, I don't know, but I think it's something that I'm intending to do. I'll have to go through all the processes to make that happen. But, when I go home, I guess I'll have a few conversations and see where to go from there. I think 4.7% or something we moved across at a time where it was really hard. Everyone was voting up against Scott Morrison, so it was hard to push against a strong Labor vote. So I'd like to do it one more time. I kind of feel like we're getting somewhere. So doing a comedy show on the experience of running as a novice, I'm a great example of someone who isn't a person that you expect to be running for politics, and I think that's what's wrong with the system. There's too many over-professionalised candidates and not enough connection with communities, not enough grassroots.